A very, very good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us here today for this Facebook Live from Gurgaon Moms Book Club. We are delighted to have with us again Kiran Manral. Thank you for joining us, Kiran, and welcome.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Upasana, and for all the love you give my books. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure entirely, Kiran. To introduce Kiran is no easy feat, people. Her biodata was so long, I had to very difficultly edit out 2 lines. So, Kiran is based in Mumbai and she published her first novel way back in 2011. I've lost count of the number of books, but she's also a columnist and she's written several books in different languages. We're here today to talk about More Things in Heaven and Earth, her latest offering, and it's published by Amaryllis from the Manjul Publishing House. So let's get right into it, Kiran, and talk about this beautiful book. You say, Kiran, this is among the books I've written that walks over quietly to the dark side, the one with no explanations, no definitions. Uh, the other two, The Face at the Window and Missing Presumed Dead, all three have been books that have clawed themselves out of me. Dark, disturbing, and emotional. How did it feel, Kiran, to bring this book out into this world?
You've read it, Upasana, so you know it's a book that won't be slaughtered. You can't call it emotional. You can't call it surreal. You can't. It sort of crosses over across all the genres. So it was a book that just wrote itself. And honestly, as always, I'm always very uncertain about how a book will be received. But this one has got so much love from whoever has read it that it really gladdens my heart. I must confess, I was very, very nervous before it came out. My poor editor, Rashmi at Amaryllis, was deluged by me saying, I'm so nervous, I'm so scared, people might hate it. But the love it's got, it's been amazing. It's been very touching.
I'm so glad, really. That's lovely to hear. Kiran, how has writing in the pandemic been different from what they call BC, before Corona times?
For me, the only difference has been that everybody is at home.
I know.
Everybody is all around all the time. So for a writer, you need quietude. You need the kid going off to college. You need the husband going off to meetings and work. Though my husband primarily is also work from home because he trades and he's a coaching mentor in trading. But you know, there were meetings and there were windows where you had the house entirely to yourself. That doesn't happen anymore. So in that sense, it's that has been disturbing. But more than that, I think it's the mind space, Upasana. It has been a very difficult time for everyone. We've all seen losses. We've all seen so much grief. We've seen so much of suffering. And after a point in time, there was a lovely article in the New York Times that said that you are languishing. And
Yes,
I
I've
really
heard that.
I think we have all been languishing in our little spaces, and the fact that we're here, we are getting through this pandemic. I think we should all just pack our bags. And my writing's been going on. I wouldn't say it's been going great, but I'm sitting there, I'm getting it done one page at a time.
But it is, I understand, it's frustrating, overwhelming. Like I wonder, like, what did I do before, like the whole day, when everyone was out? And then I was like, I used to get a lot of stuff done. So this book has a lot of eerie elements, Kiran. So do you believe in ghosts, in the supernatural?
I like to think that there's a lot we can't explain, Upasana. So I wouldn't say there is, even in this book, there are eerie elements, but at the end, it's not, we're not sure whether they really happened or what happened or whether it's, all in our head. So I'd like to think that, as the title is More Things in Heaven and Earth, that's a quote from Shakespeare. It's Hamlet, and it's about the fact that there are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, that your philosophy will not explain. So there are more things that we can't explain. And why is it that we want an explanation for everything? Some things are better left unexplained and just marveled at and wondered at. Do I believe in ghosts? I believe definitely that there are things that we don't understand and we will never be able to understand, And that by trying to give scientific explanations to a lot of things is just for just perhaps a touch of the tip of the glacier for us. We don't really get to the heart of anything, and let's enjoy the mystique and wonder of what we can't explain.
So you've never had a spooky experience per se.
I think all of us have had something that we
Some
can't
people get
explain.
that.
Yeah, everyone has had something paranormal, and I mean, I've always been having something or the other since childhood, and I don't know whether it is paranormal or it is, as they say, vehem
Share
hai.
something. Share one of the experiences with us, Kiran, if you remember offhand.
Oh, oh, there's so many.
Huh?
What do I say? But let me tell you this, when my editor was editing The Face at the Window, Rashmi at Amaryllis, and that's a pretty spooky book also. She had a very spooky experience. She called me up at the crack of dawn the next morning and she said, "Whose story have you written?" I said, "I don't know, the story wrote itself." She said, "I had such a spooky experience the last night. I'm never going to edit your manuscript in the night now."
Oh my God.
So that is what has happened. With me, it's been strange things, hotel rooms where you hear knocks at the on the wall, and there's nothing on the other side of the wall when you open the window the next morning, and strange shadows and strange things. I think all of us have had those things, and we sort of brush it over, layer it over, and don't really think too much of it until suddenly you think like, oh my god, what did I experience?
So I remember messaging you that I'm so glad I finished this book in the morning because the last line, and I was like, oh my God, my hair, my back was like, I was like, okay, I need to distract myself. So it was like, I was like, so glad I didn't finish it in the night. Thank God for that. Similarly, Kiran, what do you say about deja vu? I had recently been to Goa and I had a lot of deja vu while reading your book. I don't know why. So,
Ah, it's past memories, some past memories, some lifetime ago, you must have been there, or you must have lived there, or you must have visited there. So there's a lot of things you can't explain, like natural talents, Deja vu is one thing that, one of it. And another thing is, how do some people have natural talents? They probably trained in it in a previous life, like singing or dancing. There's a skill the body knows. It's like muscle memory that comes up back with the consciousness.
right.
So many cases and so many documentations, and scientists have actually done studies on children who have come back and stuff. So there is memory that we are not conscious of, and there's memory we are conscious of. So deja vu falls in the former category, I would say.
Good, good, good. Kiran, I have Vatsala Arora online and she says, how lovely to hear you talk, Kiran. I was a big follower of your blog, Karmic Kids, when my firstborn was a baby, about 14 and 15 years back. It was such a welcome break from the mundane. Totally loved your witty sense of humor since then.
Thank you so much, Vatsala. Thank you so much. I mean, I the blog is shut, but it's nice to know that people still remember it and think of it kindly.
Really, it's such a delight to hear from everyone like this. Um, Kiran, in on like page 33, I remember underlining this because I found it so true. You say grief isn't elegant, it is messy, snot-nosed, feral aching, a beast that slobbers into one's sane moments and scratches the door of one's composure, insistently demanding to be let out. What brought about these lines? Like, what is the worst you feel you've experienced to bring about such powerful lines?
I think we've all lost somebody we love. And as a writer, my job is to go into that place where that emotion is, that raw emotion is, and to draw it out of me at that point. For me, I think loss came very early. I was around 8 or 9 when I lost my father. It was not. I mean, I don't think I even comprehended or processed death at that point. I had never seen a dead body before I saw the body of my father. So there is a lot of I think it was pretty traumatic for me. And when you cry as a child, you're not really aware of who's watching you or who's, how you're supposed to behave, how you're supposed to, not be loud or not be whatever. That comes out, that grief comes out. I think I tapped into a lot of that sorrow. And then also, of course, my mother at that point was a widow. So the entire, the the trauma that she went through losing her husband, I think I drew upon a lot of that for to write Kamla. She
Yes.
was also very young when she lost her husband, my father. So I think a lot of that I think I drew upon
It,
unfairly.
no, it's evident, Kiran. I mean, I've read so many books, but you can make out that there's something more. So, that's why I added this question. And I really, those lines really hit me in the face. So, okay, another part I'm going to read from the book where you say baggage slows you down, things you own bind you down to the earth and a place. You need a place to keep your things, you need people to keep your heart. People one binds oneself to, and you go on to talk about bonds. So, tell me, Kiran, what do you feel we should let go of baggage wise, and what should we keep?
I think the pandemic has been a wonderful time of letting go.
It
These
has.
past year and few months have been very revelatory in what one needs and what one doesn't. And I have been counting my blessings that we've come through it unscathed. Everybody's been healthy. There has been no financial crisis in the house, because I hear terrible stories. I have taken the liberty, because I have the luxury and privilege of stepping out of the workforce and focusing on my writing, because I felt I think the start of the pandemic was a time for me to do a lot of reevaluation as to what was really important to me. And weighing myself down with stuff that was interesting and fun but did nothing for my soul, I felt I had to prioritize, because, I'm hitting 50 like in 10 days now. And it's high time I sort of took a decision as to what I really, really wanted to do, and I wanted to write. So that focusing, I think that determination to narrow my gaze is what I had, and that was the baggage. The other stuff was the baggage I dropped, and I also dropped a lot of other additional baggage. I realized that I don't need so much of. You can do without socialization. I was never a social butterfly, but you can do without stuff, and you can do without things. You can do without meeting some people you must meet, but too many people you can do without meeting them. You can do without a lot of things that you thought were part and parcel of your life. So there's been a lot of paring down, there's been a lot of cutting out, and there's been a lot of focusing on what is important and what is essential. That is family, loved ones, health, security. I think we've totally rejigged our lives in the wake of this pandemic, and somehow I think Kamla before the pandemic rejigged her life. So of course she had debt to deal with, and that's what made her do that. She lost her
I love
husband.
how her character goes from here to here, like it's a reveal in the book. Okay, anyway, let me not give away too many spoilers or anything else. Uh, Kiran, about writing, what do the words writer's block mean to you? Do they mean anything?
It means to me, what does writer's block? I get asked this a lot, and a person I keep telling myself and telling whoever asks me that if you call yourself a professional writer, you have no business talking about writer's block. You just sit down there and you write,
Hmm.
because you have to. It's not writing every day, but it's getting to your work and working on your. It's. I mean, would a surgeon say I have surgeon's block today? I'm not going to operate, or a bus driver say I have driver's block, I'm not going to drive. That's an indulgence. You are in a profession that allows you this indulgence. Don't take advantage of it. You're humoring yourself, because what happens, you say you have a writer's block and you stay away from your work for a day, for a week, and then when you get back, everything's changed. Your connection with that work has changed. So
Correct.
just stay with the work, just write. You can edit a badly written page, but you can't edit a blank page, is what I keep telling myself. So just stay at it and then the words will flow. The muse doesn't care. The muse just wants to see you at your desk and then she will give darshan.
Lovely. I love it. What is the most difficult part of your writing process?
I think the fact that I don't outline and plot. So I'm a very organic writer, which results in very creatively satisfying moments when you go back and forth trying to find the perfect thing, like the ending for More Things Than Heaven and Earth and even Facing the Window if you've read it. Missing Presumed Dead also. These three books have got endings that I didn't know at the beginning when I started writing them. But when you come to them and you come to a point and you want that ending and you go back and forth, you write multiple endings and you write multiple possibilities of how the character reached that ending. And then one fine day, you suddenly know this and you sit and in one single burst, it comes out of you because you've lived with that person for so long. That's been the most difficult and the most creatively satisfying part of my process. I think the fact that I'm not organized enough to plot.
Well, if it works for you, that's wonderful, really. Why not? Uh, okay, I'm going to come to the cover design of your books, Kiran. The past two, three books have been mesmerizing to say the least. This Face in the Window, Missing Presumed Dead. I've loved the covers. Would you, how do you like finalize it? What speaks to you most?
So there is Mishta Roy in of Draw Water Design in Bangalore, who's
Okay.
done all these covers, these three covers.
Okay.
She did my first cover, The Reluctant Detective, which was completely different. It was chick lit, it had a stiletto on the cover, it was pink, and it had a champagne glass, and it was a fun cover. But I love Mishta's work, and with these three books, she's got into the very noir mood that these books demanded. And I think I'm very clear that I want a woman on the cover because these are books which are stories of women.
Right.
And I want the mood to be something that uh, makes you wonder what is happening to that person. So,
Hmm.
so that's the main thing. And then Mishta gets what I want absolutely. Uh, Even with Missing Presumed Dead, even with The Face at the Window, she got exactly what I want. And of course, we go back and forth with options. And Rashmi, who's the editor, also chips in. And then finally, we arrive at something everyone is happy with. So I'm happy that it worked for you. We've put in a lot of effort behind these covers, and hopefully people like them.
I remember the minute I got your email for the cover reveal, I was like, okay, this I'm going to definitely pick up. No doubt about it. There was like, that just shows that the cover means so much to a reader, to a writer. It's
Absolutely.
got to have something there. Okay, again, I'm reading a bit from the book where you say, perhaps the imbalance in loving and being loved is what makes for the curious tug of war that the human heart faces when trying to keep itself on an even keel. So I just love these lines, Kiran. When you talk of imbalance, it's something moms think about all the time. What would be your, golden words? You're a mom, you're multitasking all the time.
Golden words for tug of war with your children.
With anything in life.
Hi, I just survived with this too shall pass, Upas.
Okay.
That's my motto for everything. No matter how bad it seems, it will pass. And I think I don't know whether it's a good philosophy or a bad. I think my son might not agree. It's like children are like water, they'll find their way through whatever. So don't agonize over them, don't worry, don't fret. They will find their place in the world. I remember now, I think back on it, and my son, I hope he doesn't hear this, took his time to get potty trained. And I was like, बच्चा कॉलेज में जाएगा डायपर पहन के you know what is happening why but they figure it out and they sort it out and everything will be a distant memory, whatever the struggles you go through. So don't stress too much over it. This too shall pass.
Great, great. I love that line. This too shall pass. It's one of my favorite lines. Is there anything, Kiran, you edited out of this book?
Uh, some evil stuff.
Okay, you have to tell me later. You don't want to give spoilers now.
Yeah, some evil stuff. I don't remember what, but it goes through, my writing process is I write the first draft, then I'll go over it, and then I'll agonize, I'll cut, I'll rewrite. So it goes to 15 to 20 rewrites. So this book has been in the writing for over
Okay.
four to
Uh,
5 years. So I don't
can you just
know.
repeat that? The connection just broke. You said
Okay.
15 to 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 to 5 years. So it's been around 15 or more drafts. So I don't know what I've cut out and what I've retained. And, it just, whatever, I'm very ruthless at cutting out. So a lot of stuff, if I feel in the next writing doesn't work, I just discard it. So there's a lot that has been in and gone out.
Great, great. So tell me, Kiran, what is next from you? What genre are you going to go with?
There's a non-fiction that I've done, which is essays on inspirational women. So that's completed and submitted.
Mhm.
Um, and there is a very surrealistic again book which I'm working on, and that's a little science fiction. Like it's not completely science fiction; it's surreal. It's a little science and little time traveling, little everything mixed up. So I don't know how to bracket it. It's just surreal. So that's I don't know where it will go and how it will go, but it's being worked on right now. It'll
Great.
take
That's
its
lovely.
time.
That's lovely. By the way, Vatsala Arora has commented again. She says, true, exactly what I learned from your blog as a new parent. I think about the this too shall pass.
Ah, I'm glad it helped.
Really, truly. Is there any pandemic read that you felt, Kiran, every woman should read? What is the one book that you would say?
Hmm, I haven't been reading much during the pandemic, to be honest, Upasana. I've just not had the mind space, and I completely understand when I thrust my book in the face of people and say, please read, and they say, we don't have the mind space right now. I say, okay, I'm also there. Uh, I read I got introduced to Frederick Backman during the
Okay,
pandemic.
okay.
So I think he has helped me keep my sanity and go through the pandemic with relatively less trauma. So anxious people, a man called Uva,
Oh,
Uva,
oh yeah, I
Uva,
still say oh. I mean,
Uv.
I
Yeah,
can't say it
I don't
out.
know how to pronounce
It's
it.
Ove or something. Yeah, but
Yeah,
what a book. Hmm.
and Brit Mario is here. These have all kept me sane, and I've been rereading books that I love. So I've reread, I think, almost all my P.G. Woodhouses. I've reread Gerald Durrell. I've reread so many of the old classics, Three Men in a Boat, The Great Gatsby. I find myself going back to the classics and the favorites of my childhood and my youth. Maybe it's old age catching up, maybe it's fear that, these are trying times and maybe one should reread comfort books. So that's what I've been doing. And one book that every woman should read, uh, I don't know what one book every woman should read. Because I've read it during the pandemic, I really love Brit Mari was here
Okay.
because it takes an older protagonist who has sort of
Mhm.
erased herself in her marriage completely, and she's trying to find herself back again. And it takes a lot of courage to do that. And she's been pushed in a situation because her husband has been having an affair and whatever, whatever. But I think a lot of us women tend to do that, put ourselves on the back burner and, let everything else take precedence over us. And suddenly it takes one big jolt for us to realize, like, hello, I'm here. What about me? So, in that sense, I think that nice wake up call is something every woman should read, and you can laugh through the book, which is important.
So important, so very important, really, to laugh. I think that's the ultimate medicine for everything, really. Kiran, I'm going to do a very quick rapid fire, okay? So, quick answers. I'm starting now. Books on Netflix.
Both.
Okay. Ideas on paper or phone?
Paper, paper. Always paper.
Reading or writing?
Reading.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Chocolate or rasgulla?
Chocolate.
Okay. Facebook?
Unpredictable.
No, not really. Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook.
Okay. Thrillers or biographies?
Thrillers.
Morning or night?
Night.
Okay. Beaches or mountains?
Mountains.
Paperback or Kindle?
Paperback. I'm an
Okay.
old person. I like print and paper and the solidity of a book in my hand. But yeah, Kindle is convenient. I'm not going to diss the Kindle. It saves you carrying a lot of stuff around.
Yeah, and convenience, especially when you want to highlight, it's very, very convenient.
Absolutely, absolutely,
No?
absolutely.
Thank you so much, Kiran. That was so wonderful. Everyone, this is the book we were talking about, More Things in Heaven and Earth, brought to you by Amaryllis and Manjul Publishing House. So do go and pick up a copy today if you love thrillers and if you're ready to go to the other side, as Kiran says. And thank you all so much for joining us today. It's been such a pleasure. And we have another Facebook Live next Saturday at 5 o'clock. So don't forget to tune into Gurgaon Moms' Facebook page and website for more details. We keep updating a lot of stuff on our website as well. So don't forget to stay tuned and join us again next Saturday for another book interaction with another author. Uh, Stay safe, everybody. Stay home. Don't step out till necessary. And once again, Kiran, that was Kiran Manral for you, and this is her book. Thank you so much, Kiran, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Upasana. I'm so honored and glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Our pleasure entirely.